Today, we're diving into something huge: how to forge an unstoppable mind. We're going to break down the core pillars that build real mental strength, starting from the inside out. Let's get right into it. So let me ask you, does this sound familiar? You find yourself getting sucked into pointless arguments, feeling totally drained, or just reacting in ways you kick yourself for later? It feels like someone else has the remote control for your emotions. Well, we're about to show you how to take that remote back for good. Okay, first things first. When we talk about mental dominance, we need to get one thing straight. This is not about learning some shady, dark psychology tricks to mess with people. No way. The real secret, the actual power, comes from one place and one place only: mastering yourself. So, what does this real mental power actually look like? Well, it's this powerful mix of a few key things: serious self-control, rock-solid boundaries, and a high level of emotional intelligence. The whole point is to build your influence, for sure, but to do it in a way that's ethical and doesn't hurt anyone. It's about becoming unshakable. Every bit of this journey starts right here, inside your own head. Before you can even think about influencing your outer world, you have to get a handle on your inner world first. This is the foundation for absolutely everything else we're going to talk about. I want you to really let that one sink in, because it is the absolute heart of mental strength. If someone knows exactly what buttons to push to make you angry or defensive or sad, they essentially have a leash on you. They can steer your actions. That's why mastering your own emotional state is always step one. And this table here breaks down exactly why that's true. When you react with an aggressive, hot-headed mindset, your brain literally shuts down the part that handles logic. And what does that lead to? Terrible decisions. But a calm mind, that enables clarity. It lets you think, lets you strategize. And that, my friends, is what always gives you the upper hand. Now, here's another huge piece of mastering your inner world. Think about the last time you felt like you had to explain yourself over and over and over again. That need to justify every little decision, it almost always comes from a place of insecurity, from needing someone else to say, "Okay, I approve." And you can see the difference so clearly. On one hand, insecurity is always trying to convince everybody. It leads to these long, rambling speeches. But on the other hand, real confidence, it doesn't need all that. It speaks with short, direct clarity. It states its position and doesn't need to beg you to agree with it. Okay, so once you've started to get that inner state under control, you can start to project that strength outward. This is where your internal work starts to have a real, visible impact on your interactions. I want you to picture this. You're in some kind of argument or a tense conversation. The other person is pushing your buttons, maybe even throwing a few insults your way. What do they want? What are they really looking for? A reaction. They're waiting for you to get angry, to get defensive, to lose your cool. But instead of giving them the fireworks they're expecting, you give them nothing. Not a word. No anger, no excuses. Just calm, controlled silence. You just look at them and you wait. You see what happens? That silence causes a massive power shift. It completely breaks their script. All that aggression they threw at you has nowhere to go. Suddenly, they're the one who feels uncomfortable, who feels exposed. And in that one moment, you've taken total control of the situation. Never underestimate silence. Now, the next major tool for controlling your outer world is boundaries. But let's think about them in a new way. Boundaries aren't about building walls to shut people out. Think of them more like filters. They're there to protect your most precious assets: your time, your energy, and your emotional state. They're there to protect your value. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It's basic supply and demand, right? If you're always available for everyone and everything, your value goes down. It's just how it works. Saying no isn't being mean or selfish. It's a fundamental act of self-respect. It sends a clear signal to the world that your time and energy are valuable. All right, we've talked about the inner game and the outer game. Now we're getting to the final level, the ultimate power move. This is the mindset that truly makes you a force to be reckoned with. So I want you to ask yourself this and be really honest. When you face opposition, critics, rivals, whatever you want to call them, where does your mental energy go? Do you find yourself stewing over them for hours, replaying conversations, thinking about what you should have said? Or is that energy going somewhere else? Because here's the absolute truth. Your focus is your power. Whatever you focus on, you feed energy to. By obsessing over your critics, you literally make them stronger in your own life. You make them important. So the most powerful move you have is to simply withdraw your attention. Starve them of your focus. It's the one thing they want, and you're not going to give it to them. So what do you do with all that energy you just took back? You pour it into yourself. This is the path. You focus on building your skills, getting better at what you do. You strengthen your mind and your body. You work on advancing your life, your career, your goals. You see, the final victory isn't about beating your enemies. It's about growing so much that they become completely irrelevant. Okay, so let's tie all of this together. How do we take all these pieces and turn them into a single, cohesive philosophy for becoming truly, genuinely unstoppable? It really boils down to mastering these 4 areas of control. First, emotion control, so nobody can ever use your feelings against you. Second, focus control, making sure your energy only goes toward what builds you up. Third, boundary control, to protect your value. And finally, growth control, making your own development the absolute #1 priority. And this right here is the key takeaway. If you remember nothing else, remember this. True, lasting power never ever comes from tearing other people down. That's weak. You become unstoppable not by focusing on breaking others, but by focusing relentlessly on building yourself. So, as we wrap this up, I'm going to leave you with a question. Out of everything we've talked about, controlling your emotions, speaking with clarity, setting boundaries, directing your focus, which one of those pillars do you need to work on right now? Which one will you start building first?